Greetings and felicitations. I'm Jeff Higdon, and welcome to our 5th episode of STARFLEET at Large, the program that shines a spotlight on our members, our chapters, and our regions. We're going to look at the news around the regions of our fleet this month. Over in Region 1, the crew of the Russell Camp III assisted 5 veterans in getting their benefits and payback. In Region 2, the USS Tiberius reports that Brigadier Ann Zecca continues her planning committee work on the 2021 Walk to End Alzheimer's event in Ocala, Florida, to be held on October 16th, along with serving as a team captain during that event. In Region 3, the USS Massamune announced that Pam Rodriguez was promoted to Lieutenant JG and that the U.S. Tarvos recently celebrated their 5th anniversary. Congratulations to them. In Region 4, aboard the USS Leonidas, one crew member did some scuba diving and found 2 great white shark, not white whale, teeth. And the USS Stormbringer will be 23 years old on October 31st. In Region 5, the USS Bismarck announced that they are in the works in raising our resources to help local food banks by working with the VFW. And in Region 6, the USS Thunderchild held a meeting at Books A Million, followed by a trip to the Spirit of Halloween store. In Region 7, the USS Katherine Johnson held its commissioning anniversary party on September 5th over the Labor Day holiday weekend at the XOs/CMO's home. In Region 8, the USS Dauntless announced Nora Quinn was promoted to the rank of commander. Congratulations, Nora. In Region 9, the USS Versailles also announced that Bruno Majestic, and if I messed that name up, I am sorry, was promoted to captain and was elected to the CO. Congratulations, Bruno. Region 10, aboard the USS Chinook, Derek France was promoted to Brigadier General, James Doyle was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel, Shannon Barrett was promoted to Lieutenant Commander, and Richard Steele was promoted to Captain. Congratulations to those fine officers. In Region 11, the USS Animus announced that Cadet Marcus Manuel was promoted to Big Brother with the birth of his sister Eliza Jones. In Region 12, the USS Sun Tzu had their monthly meeting where they discussed planning food, clothes, and supply drives for local shelters and assistance programs. In Region 13, aboard the USS Valeris, the crew had been working on social activities and getting to know one another. They had held their first book club meeting, and the second book club meeting discussion will be on October 17th. In Region 17, the USS Rhode Island has Cindy Ray serving as an Assistant Director of College of Laser Technology, or COLT, Assistant Director, College of Astrocartography, or ACART, and Assistant Director, College of Mathematics. In Region 17, the USS Ashrushi announced that Michael Roybal was promoted to cadet. In Region 20, the USS Alba's Commodore Aledo Montgomery was promoted to Rear Admiral. Congratulations, that was well deserved. Now, in a new segment we call This Month in Starfleet History, on October 5th, 1973, in Lufkin, Texas, John Bradbury and 10 friends established a new type of fan club, the USS Enterprise. This club will be the founding chapter of a new type of fan association 6 months later, which we now call Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Association. It's Halloween here at Starfleet at Large, and we're talking costumes and cosplay. Our first guest is Charlie Carden, of the USS Grand PETOSKEY. Welcome to Starfleet at Large, Charlie.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
Now, I think I messed up the name of your chapter. What
No,
exactly?
you got it. It is PETOSKEY, which is
Okay.
our state stone here in Michigan. Also, the name of a town in the Lower Peninsula of northern Michigan. So, yeah, you got it.
Well, I'm lucky, aren't I? Tell us a
Yes,
little
indeed.
bit about yourself.
Well, I live here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is the second largest town in Michigan. My wife and I started the PETOSKEY the Grand PETOSKEY, a little over 2 years ago, in conjunction with the gentleman who runs our local Comic-Con, who is an old business associate of mine, kind of encouraged us and pointed us in the right direction. Cosplay has always been a passion of mine. I love uniforms in particular when it comes to Star Trek, because I'm a little bit of a nudnik for him. You know, I really love him to look right and be proportioned. So the club has propelled my lifelong love of Star Trek into my lifelong, love of costumes, to put into something together that I'm able to share with, people in our state. So it's been a lot of fun.
What do you do in real life? I mean, outside of fandom, cosplay?
Oh, in real life, I'm actually like a lot of people between jobs right now, but I've always worked in outside sales. So yeah, I'm heavy looking for a new job currently. So anybody in Michigan watching this who works in the industry, any industry where something needs to be sold, hit me up.
That's a good way to put yourself out there. Now, let me ask you this: what made you a fan of Star Trek?
Well, I'm kind of a gestational fan. My parents met at Central Michigan University back in the 60s in the dorms, where on the dorm television Star Trek was playing for the first time in 1966, 67. So that kind of spun into it being on in my house when I was very young, in syndication in the late 70s, early 80s. I was born in 1976. And then that really turned into the Star Trek films. I think Star Trek 4 was the first film I saw and was really like, ooh, this is fantastic. The next year, Star Trek The Next Generation came on board, and then I have just been a diehard, watch it every week. Used to tape it on the VCR, watch the old tapes and stuff, even all the way through college. So I am really well versed, and I've turned around and spun that not only into our club, but then also into a weekly podcast about Star Trek that I do on a podcasting network that I'm a part of.
Let me ask you this one now. How did you find Starfleet? What made you join Starfleet?
Well, it was, as I had mentioned a couple of years ago at a comic convention in Wisconsin. The guy who runs our local show here in Grand Rapids, who's a business associate of mine, I worked in radio at the time, was sitting next to a table of the USS Wisconsin. And the two of them got to talking, and Leo, the guy who was running that chapter, said, there's no active Michigan chapter. There's no active Michigan chapter in West Michigan, which is where we are. I would love to see something like that happen. And my associate said, I know the only guy that I could think of, and it was me. So he got home, he reached out to me, and then connected me with Leo over there in Wisconsin. Leo brought us over to the Wizard World Chicago show in 2019. We helped him run his booth area in costume, kind of gave us a taste of what running a show is. And then we had our own successful debut just a few months later at the Grand Rapids Comic-Con, which we're looking to repeat again just next month. To huge regard, great props, lots of people joining our club. We maintain the largest chapter in the state of Michigan, simply because we have a lot of success getting out there and reaching people in person. When you set up at a show, it doesn't even really matter what you have to draw people to, but everybody wants to talk about Star Trek. You're going to catch somebody if they see somebody in uniform or they see Star Trek paraphernalia about, it's going to spark a conversation, and that conversation can very easily turn into what SFI has to offer. So that's probably what I would attribute to our success.
Now, I understand you have a podcast. Do you care to plug it?
Plug, yes. The podcast, which is on the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, is called Code 47. So real trekkers will get that reference in a pinch. We come out every Monday. We do a little bit of current episode breakdown. We reflect on an older episode or two, and we talk about news as well. So it's myself. We're in a little transition right now. It's myself and my partner, Rich Davenport. He's actually striking out on his own to start his own network. So I'm going to keep it going. I'm going to be bringing in some different guests, but it's my intention to keep the show going and to keep the Star Trek conversation happening. And again, it's part of 4 shows that we have in our network. We have a video game show, we have a Star Wars show, and then we have kind of a general geek culture show that's been around since 2014, simply called Secret Friends Unite. You can find that on really any podcasting service, Apple, Spotify, Audible, Google Play, anything at all.
Wow. Now let's go back to the cosplay. You mentioned that several times. Can you define cosplay?
Cosplay, I believe, if it was to be looked up on Urban Dictionary or something of that nature, is simply known as costumed play. I think. I don't know. Now I'm caught on the spot. I don't have anything formal prepared, but my wife and I have belonged to a few and continue to belong to a few different charity organizations that raise money for reputable causes. We belong to one a couple of years ago that raised money for charities for children in the state of Michigan. We currently belong to one that is a cosplay based around G.I. Joe, of which I'm a giant fan. They raise money a lot really for a lot of veterans groups. I'm a part of an expo in Marshall, Michigan, which is called the Heroes Helping Heroes Expo. Had a show in 2019, having another one in 2022 that raised money for veterans and for a local burn camp. So for me, cosplay has become more about creating an attraction that is something that draws attention to a cause that's something worthwhile. When it comes to SFI, it's really just about having fun and kind of drawing attention to our club and getting people to kind of join us in enjoying Star Trek. I'm, as I said, a little bit of a nutnik. I have about 17 different varieties of uniforms, ranging from all areas of Star Trek, all eras, Starfleet Marine Corps. So I enjoy it. I enjoy getting it right. I'm very to the letter when I do cosplay. It's kind of a point of pride with me.
Wow. You have a favorite one? Yeah, I mean,
thanks to the dome, my Captain Pike Discovery era has gotten me some attention out there. I did a photo shoot about a year ago when I had dyed my gray hair brown as Commander Riker in no beard, but with in that season 1 jumpsuit, which is, I wouldn't say it was terribly comfortable, so it's I wouldn't wear it for a long period of time, but those photos turned out really great. So I'm really, really proud of some of the work we've done.
What is the most challenging part of cosplay?
Trying to stay comfortable in boots or tights or anything like that over a long period of time. So otherwise than that, I mean, the attention is great. It's fun. I've gone from, outside of doing Star Trek, I have a lot of different Star Wars cosplay. I have a lot of different hero cosplays. I have a Spider-Man or two. I have a Captain America or two. I've done Superman. I've done the Captain from the Orville is hanging in my closet. Indiana Jones is probably the biggest one that I've got. The height and the blue eyes really, really kind of pull that one off. Yeah, it's just, and I've done events where I get a lot of acclaim, and I've done events where people just kind of look at you and, who are you supposed to be? It really, in a lot of ways, it's for your own amusement, and that's really where it's at.
It sounds like a lot of fun, but I'm sure you have a dream down the line of what cosplay you could pull off.
Well, the ultimate goal, and as I was showing Ed before, I was kind of showing him around my little studio here. This is also where I record my podcasts weekly. I have on the far wall a piece of commissioned art that has me and some of the other folks in my club in the famous Monster Maroon, the Star Trek TOS movie era uniform, the red jacket with the black pants. Phenomenally difficult uniform to get correct. And in most cases, because of the material put it together, and very expensive. So that is one that has simply been in the offing for me. Someday, somehow, that's the brass ring of the cosplays for me. So I hope to get that right, because that's the one I'm the most interested in.
Well, I think that is great, doing cosplay and mixing it in with your fan projects. A great thing to do on anybody and for anybody. But right now, we have a little segment we do, which we call Captain, Shore League, or Shore Leave, and Red Shirt. So, who would you want to lead, to hang out with, or just throw out the nearest airlock, or reassign them anywhere you want? Now, you have three choices. You choose from these: Haruka Sulu, Charles Tucker, and Harry Mudd. Now, who would you want to lead you in a Star Trek mission?
Well, Sulu becomes captain of the Excelsior, so he's a leader. I would probably. I'm sorry. What were my other choices? I know Harry Mudd.
Hang out with would be next.
I would love to hang out with Charles Tucker. He's a classic Southern character, and then Harry Mudd right out the airlock.
All right, those are excellent choices, I think. I want to thank you for being a guest here on Starfleet at Large and sharing your experiences with the membership. It's been a great joy to have you on.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. Coming up next, the 327th Marine Strike Group supports their local Veterans Museum.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant General Edward C. Tunes III of the 327th Marine Strike Group. The Scurvy Dogs, based on the USS Corsair. Right now I'm downtown here in Baton Rouge, in front of the USS Kidd, a World War II Fletcher-class destroyer. There's many times that the Corsair and the 327 come down here to help out. Recently we did some cleaning for COVID. If you ever have a chance to come down and visit, be sure to come down and visit.
Life takes courage. So do mammograms. Schedule yours today.
Don't just think about a fantasy tonight. Log on and watch Starfleet After Dark. You'll always get a different show every time you watch. You can interact live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every first and third Friday at 10 Central.
This live stream is rated TV 18+ for strong, suggestive language and adult themes. The comments or views do not reflect those of Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Association. There has been plenty of time to do the SFDPP 101 and 102. Work has begun with fleet operations and the regional coordinators to determine which COs and XOs that have not taken the required exams. Starfleet is now dry docking or removing either the CO or XO who are lacking. These requirements have been set forth in the Members' Handbook and by the Office of Commander Starfleet in conjunction with the Admiralty Board of Starfleet International. Everyone with elevated access to the database including COs and XOs must have OTS, OCC, SFDPP 101 and 102.
Our next guest is another Starfleet member who enjoys cosplay. All the way from Ireland in Region 20, please welcome Antoinette Kelso-Maguire. How you doing, Antoinette?
Hi.
Excellent. Tell us about yourself.
Hi. Well, my name is Antoinette. I live in County Louth, which is north of Dublin. I'm part of the USS Cuchulainn. I'm part of that chapter for 2.5 years now. I'm heavily involved with cosplay with the group through conventions and everything, and we're off to London now shortly. We'll all be dressed up in our lovely cosplays. I'm really looking forward to it.
Wow. What do you do when you're not doing cosplay or Starfleet?
Oh, I work at Dublin Airport.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, I'm a
one.
flight coordinator at Dublin Airport, and I'm a recent graduate at Trinity College as well.
Okay. Now, what made you a Star Trek fan after all the, what caused you to become a Star Trek fan?
Well, when I was younger, I used to always watch Star Trek with my father. He'd be a huge Star Trek fan as well as a lot of other sci-fi. And I remember we'd always be begging him, my sister and myself, begging him, please, Daddy, can we stay up and watch Star Trek, please? And then he'd let us stay up and watch it. And like since then, we just kind of grew to love Star Trek so much. I think the next generation really would have been when I started watching Star Trek, and I was always a big fan of Will Wheaton because he was around my age and everything during the show. And I love the characters and the interactions between them, and I suppose there's a lot of life lessons in Star Trek as well.
Wow. Now let me ask you this: what brought you to Starfleet? How did you get into Starfleet? Find out about us.
Well, I used to volunteer. I still do volunteer at Dublin Comic-Con. But I used to be part of a group called The Wasteland, and we did a post-apocalyptic themed, like a mini amusement arcade for children, where we raised money for the Irish Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. Cuchulainn were always set up beside us. So that's how I found out about Cuchulainn. Initially, I joined their Facebook group, and I always had intentions. I knew about them for about 2 years before I actually went and joined them officially. And then in 2018, I went to Destination Star Trek for the first time on my own. 2019 was my first trip with the Cuchulainn, and I didn't even know any of them at that point, and they just opened their arms, welcomed me warmly, took me under their wing from the airport, and I've never looked back since.
Wow. Well, that's a good way to be a part of Starfleet. You mentioned cosplay. You mentioned you are into cosplay. Now, how would you define cosplay for our viewers?
Cosplay is, most of the time, it's when you're dressing up and acting like you're an actual character from something. But really, there's a very fine line between cosplay and costumes, really. I try and make a lot of my cosplay if I can, but I will of course buy it as well. For example, this is something that I made recently, which is a staff from a show, a web show from a character called Codex. As I said, there is a very fine line between costumes and cosplay, and I would never say anything about anybody who had a Halloween costume on. Whatever you're happy in, then you want to call it cosplay, go right ahead.
Now, what is your favorite cosplay character?
At the moment, I love doing an Andorian, Star Trek Andorian. I started we have twice weekly Zoom calls with the Summit Cuchulainn group, and every week we were doing dress up, a dress up theme. So I started doing an Andorian. We had Alien Night, and I just started doing Andorian. And since then, I've kind of progressed what this Andorian looks like. And now for Destination Star Trek, I'm going to do Jennifer, which is the Andorian from Lower Decks. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. I just love doing all the different types of contours and everything. I have done other cosplays for Doctor Who as well. I made a full like ball gown TARDIS thing. I've got Codex there. Power Girl as well. I'm a big fan of the Power Girl from DC.
What is your most challenging cosplay character at this?
The most challenging thing that I've made is the Maroon from the Rathakan. So I made the full jacket. Like I can sew. I'm a basic sewer at the most, but a friend of mine sent me a man's pattern for the Maroon, and I went from there, ordered the fabric. It took me probably about 2 months to make in total, on and off. And it was definitely a very challenging build. I'd never made a jacket sewn in sleeves. I'd never done before. Had to get a family member to help me do that. But it was definitely the most challenging one. And I actually got put into the Cosplayer's Essential Guide in that uniform.
Wow. Now, let me also ask you this one more question about cosplay. If you had any cosplay that you wanted to take on, any project, what would you take on, or have you taken on? Let's put it that way.
Oh, I'm still in the middle of the build for the rest of the cosplay off this Codex from the guild, and then I'd love to finish. I'm trying to make a WandaVision headpiece at the moment, so that's halfway. The actual costume for that is going to be a huge task to do as well. I would love to be able to make that. So hopefully that'll be one I make, but that's like a down the road future, maybe next year situation.
Now, we have a little segment here on At Large, which we call Captain Shore Leave Red Shirt. So would you want to lead, hang out with, or throw out the nearest airlock to one of these three characters that we had? Now, your choices for this game, this segment, are Tasha Yar, Kira Nerys, and 7 of 9. Now, which one would you want to lead you in aboard a starship or an event?
I'm going to say Tasha Yar. I think she didn't get a fair chance. I would have loved to see her in a lot more episodes, and I think she was a good leader. Or she would have been a good leader.
Now, who would you want to hang out with?
It was Kira Nerys, and what was the other option?
Kira Nerys and 7 of 9.
7 of 9. Kira Nerys.
So that means you would throw 7 of 9 out the airlock, eh?
Oh, out the airlock, yeah. I can't be dealing with the competition. She looks too good in that suit.
Oh, yeah. And she's gotten even awesome in Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She really is.
Well,
I'm really looking forward to next season.
Well, it has been an absolute joy to have you here, a pleasure. And I want you to thank you for sharing your cosplay experiences with us and being a guest here on Starfleet at Large.
Thank you so much for asking me on.
Here are some conventions coming up around the world. We certainly don't know the status due to the latest COVID surges, so be sure to check before you go. Well, that's it for another Starfleet at Large. I want to thank you for watching, and please spread the word about Starfleet at Large to our fellow fleeters. And if you'd like to be on the show, or you know someone that should be, email us at starfleetatlarge@gmail.com. And remember, that's the same address you can send your news about your chapters or individuals. We want the fleet to know about you. On behalf of the staff of Starfleet at Large, I'm Jeff Higdon. Looking forward to seeing you all again, and may the winds be at your back.